The Oklahoma Department of Tourism recently announced that it will permanently close 7 state parks this summer to save an estimated $700,000 in its budget. The agency's public information officer, Leslie Blair, says the department enforced furloughs, offered voluntary buyouts, and left vacant positions unfilled. But all of those cost-cutting measures couldn't save the 7 locations.
Over the past 2 years, our budget's been cut by 13%, and we're looking at additional cuts of at least 5% this year.
The parks slated for closing include Adair State Park in Stillwell, Beaver Dunes in Beaver, Boggy Depot in Atoka, Brushy Lake in Sallisaw, Heavener Runestone in Heavener, Lake Uchi in Jay, and Wah-Sha-She in Copan.
Supporters of Beaver Dunes traveled nearly 40 hours from the Panhandle to the capital to ask for help in keeping their state park from being closed. Kirk Fisher's been living and working in the area for 40 years and says the park is essential to everyone.
There just aren't other recreational places that can be provided to the citizens of not only Oklahoma but our surrounding states anywhere close.
The other parks set to close this August are in eastern Oklahoma and include Adair, Boggy Depot, Brushy Lake, Lake Uchi, and Wah-Sha-She. The director of the Department of Tourism says her agency has to make some tough choices as it deals with 20% cuts over the last 2 years. At the state capitol, I'm Michael Cross, KOSU News.
A majority of the parks scheduled for closing aren't owned by the tourism department and are simply operated under leases. Blair says even though the agency won't manage them anymore, officials hope the local entities who do own them will step up and take over operations.
We are working with local communities and counties and tribal officials to do what we can to ensure that the park stays open.
The Department of Tourism has done a lot of trimming since 1982 when it managed more than 60 state parks and 14 historic sites. Only 35 parks will be operational this summer, but a more manageable number will help improve services at other locations needing some attention. As for this year, at least 12 million people will visit an Oklahoma State Park, golf course, or lodge, and agency officials are expecting a steady, if not higher, attendance number. Kelly Clark is the marketing coordinator for Oklahoma State Parks.
We hope to have a lot more visitors this year because, people don't necessarily want to pay a whole lot of money to travel out of state or go somewhere they can't afford to go or even fly.
Last week's pleasant spring break weather was the first big park week of the season, and Clark says activity will pick up in May. The 7 parks slated for closing will do so on August 15th, but agency officials say there will still be plenty of opportunities for Oklahomans to camp, hike, fish, swim, and enjoy all of the attractions a state park has to offer. For KOSU News, I'm Gail Banzett.